What's going on, everyone? It's your Rifle here, and in this video I'm going to be covering every boss fight on the strikes. Hopefully this video helps the strikes go a lot smoother. I had a lot of recommendations about people saying to give tips on certain strike bosses, like how to defeat Nexus, or I'm having trouble with Phogoth. Hey, it's whatever. Well, these setups that I'm about to give you all works for me. Hey, if you're doing something different and it's working just fine with you, then continue doing what you're doing. I'm just giving out these tips to hopefully help out some people that are having trouble with these certain enemies. And as for enemies, I'm talking about the big guys in the strikes. Hope some of these are helpful for you guys and you decide to use them. Let's go! First big guy I'm going to be starting with is the Fallen Walker on Old Russia Earth. The strike mission is named the Devil's Lair. When traveling through the Devil's Lair, you come across a Fallen Walker. And what Freaky Legs does is it fires its big cannon at you, which does a lot of damage, spawns enemies. This thing is just an annoying tank to fight. Its criticals, you want to aim for its legs until the leg is destroyed, and then aim for this, like, I guess we can call it its brain, if you want. It's back behind its armored face. Once this red core pops out behind its red armored mask, this is where you want to aim for as well, which this only pops out once you make it stumble from destroying each of its legs. Each leg makes it stumble to make this core pop out. So you got to know the right spots to hide at when fighting this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my best advice on fighting the Fallen Walker. Right down here in this trench area, you'll notice that you have plenty of cover when in this trench area. A lot of people like to get on top of the building and snipe from up there. Yeah, that's a nice spot, but enemies spawn up there. So come down here in this trench area and you're much more safer from enemies and also from the Fallen Walker. Not to mention, while you're down in this trench area, you have a little peephole you can peep through these like rusted linings of this material right in front of us. It looks like it's from some destroyed pipes in the center of the map. Well, these destroyed pipes is great cover when trying to fight the Fallen Walker, because you could shoot it, but it cannot shoot you. And not to mention, on the other side of the trench, there's also playroom. So if you get bored from shooting at from one angle, you don't have a good enough shot at one angle, you can switch over to the other side of the trench and still shoot at it from over here. Not to mention, in the Fallen Walker battlefield, if you go to the far right from where you first enter the Fallen Walker area, you'll notice that there's this little corridor area. From here, you can shoot at the Fallen Walker, and it cannot shoot at you. Unless you move up, then it can start shooting at you, but you still have plenty of cover against it. Your defense is higher than its defense when making a move if you want to play in a game of chess. So right here in this corridor area, this is a great spot to be at when releasing fire against the Fallen Walker. Also, if you get down here, it's easy for your buddy to get you instead of you being out in the middle of the battlefield trying to shoot the Fallen Walker. And trust me, I have seen that plenty of times. This is why I am making this video, to help you guys against the boss fights, and not to mention, hopefully it'll help other players as well, since you guys know some setups against these bosses. I guess we can call the Fallen Walker a mini boss, since it leads up to the bigger boss, which we're going to be heading to next. Hopefully the spots that I have showed you here ends up helping you against the Fallen Walker. Okay, up next is Optimus Prime, which is the devil himself on this strike. Once you kill it, you complete the strike, but the problem is killing it. Especially if you're on harder difficulties, this battle can get tough. And yes, all these setups I'm giving you, you can use them for whatever difficulty you are deciding to play on. It does not matter if it's the hardest to the lowest. Hopefully these setups will help you in some way. Okay, so at Optimus Prime, when you first enter its lair and it's like sucking the souls out of the Fallen, you'll notice to your left there's a stairwell area. Well, this stairwell area is a great area to set up on Prime. You see, what you have to do is take some shots and make sure you're killing the enemies as well when on top of this stairwell area. And then when Prime, kind of gets out of the way and you can't see him no more, you have no more shots, that you can fire on him, because you can't see him no more, go down the stairwell and go down here in like this basement area, because it opens up and you can see like the whole battle area from down here as well. So more than likely you'll be able to see Prime from down here and have plenty of cover from him when you are down here. And then once he starts to get a little too out of control, head up back to the top of the stairwell, and then hopefully while you're down there battling, he has moved and switched up so you can see him again up in this area. This area is highly guarded, and your protection here is not 100%, but it's actually really good going against this last guy. Not to mention, when the enemies feel like they're starting to get out of control, back yourself up in this area and destroy them as they enter the room. or just make sure you kill them while they're spawning up. It helps both ways. It helps with ammo, and it helps with the pressure of this fight. If there's less enemies shooting at you while you're worrying about Prime, then there's less stress on you trying to hurry up and kill Prime. So make sure you're taking out the enemies. The enemies leave a lot of pressure in boss fights. If it was just you and the boss one-on-one, the boss fight would not seem like a boss fight. It would be, it's just simpler. But with the enemies included, it makes the boss fight so much harder. So make sure you're taking out the enemies as well. Your team will be thankful, and you will be thankful while fighting the boss. Don't have this little annoying drag keep shooting you in the side of your head like, hey, I almost killed him. Look guys, I almost killed him. You won't have to deal with that shit. Who wants to deal with that shit? No one. Make sure you're killing the enemies while you're fighting Prime. And this stairwell strategy seems to work out the best with any difficulty that you're playing on. At least that's just my opinion. This area seems to work out the best here. Another spot is right at the entrance before you even come out. That big door. Just stay at this area, and it seems to be pretty safe while staying here and shooting at Optimus Prime. Hopefully this will make your strike missions a little bit easier, knowing where to set up against these guys. The next setup I have for you guys is on the moon in the summoning pits. We're going against Phogoth. You're probably wondering, where could a setup be against Phogoth? This area is one of the most open battle areas against a boss possible. It's like, where is the cover here? There's so many enemies, wizards, hive, just keep coming at you and at you, waves of them. So you're probably wondering, where can I set up against Phogoth? Some of you probably already know this, but hopefully this helps you guys out when setting up to kill this hard beast. Once you get to Phogoth's lair in the summoning pits, you will notice that he is bound with chains. This is to your advantage for your runtime now. Go into the lair while he is still bound on these chains, which will take him a while to release until you start shooting at him. So don't shoot at him yet. Go over to this rocky area right here, and actually I'll give you a third-person view of going up on top of these rocks. You can actually get to the top of these rocks, which is great cover against Phogoth. Not to mention, once you get on top of these rocks, you can jump to that center beam in the center of this battle arena. This is your advantage. Remember, you have the highest point in the arena and tons of cover. Tons of cover. It may not seem like it in the very center, but there's actually this railing up there that you can hide behind, and it's plenty of cover fighting Phogoth. Not to mention, if you have one person in the center and you on top of the rocks, you shooting at them from two different high altitudes, man, that would confuse Phogoth. So this is a great strategy to be at. All you have to do is jump on these rocks, free run up to the top of these rocks, and up here kind of crouch. So Phogoth can shoot at you, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to get hit. More than likely, Phogoth's going to be shooting a rock right below you. And as for the enemies, they have no clue what is going on. So even if they do attempt to shoot at you, you're going to have plenty of cover, so more than likely their attacks will not even hurt you. And if they do start hurting you, readjust yourself or just kill the enemies that are seeing you and are able to shoot where you're at, because that's some bad luck, my friend, if you are getting shot by a bunch of enemies while being up there. This is actually a really covered area, and I'm releasing it to you all, so hopefully it makes the Phogoth fights a lot more simpler. As for when this actually gets patched, I don't know if it will get patched, but if it ever does, I'm sorry. Guys, trust me, this was fun while it exists. I'm sorry it does not exist no more. Try to find a different setup. Another setup is you could stand on like these little archways, in the center. I guess we can call them these arc platforms right by the center, and kind of crouch on top of these. And Phogoth can shoot up at you. Phogoth's attacks will not be able to hit you if you're adjusting yourself. And you can shoot at it, but it cannot shoot at you. It's a very handy strategy going against these powerful beasts. And as for the enemies, you want to make sure you run around the map a couple times. Take out. Worry about the wizards. That's one thing you gotta focus your fire on, especially if you have a team. Have your team fire on the wizards as well, because those guys can get annoying if they start piling up. And by piling up, I mean by having a bunch of them in the same room shooting at you all. The wizards are just as strong as the boss himself. May not be as health-wise, of course, but as attack-wise, they can get just as annoying. Also, another important step when fighting Phogoth is to know its weak point. And its weak point is in the center of its chest. It's this nasty thing that sticks out of Phogoth. Shooting that nasty thing is how you do critical damage to it. Alright, now since you guys know the tips and tricks on defeating Phogoth, it's time to take you guys over to the planet Venus. On Venus, we are first going to take a look at Winter's Run, which is where we will be fighting the Archon Priest. Once you get to the Archon Priest, normally the fights here can be pretty tough against him. He's crazy! That's why I'm about to show you a place where you can stay away from this animal. You encage yourself, surround yourself inside this bunker area, underneath the deck. Also, underneath this deck, there's a little trench, and this trench is the most helpful little trench ever on the game. Because you can just camp out at this little hole. You can call it a trench, or you can call it this little slope. Or you can call it this little magical slope, because it is magical. It's a very safe place to fight the Archon Priest. Use this little trench, hole, slope, magical slope, little slope for your advantage. You know, kind of pull yourself forward, take some shots, and then when he starts shooting at you, back up inside this little slopey area. And then once it kind of calms down, go back out of this little hole and start raging on it. And just repeat that process until it dies. But as for that, this is basically it. Besides, shoot him in the head. That is his critical. You guys should have a lot of fun with that area. It's very hard to top, so that's why I'm leaving it at that. So now let's go to the next strike, which at this strike we will be fighting Nexus. 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 Yeah, I just said that 3 different times. Heck yeah. This Nexus one is going to take some free running. Once you get to the area where you're about to fight the Nexus, go off on this beam and jump over to this railway right here. Once here, look straight up. There's actually a little ledge that you can get on up here. So jump up here and then jump all the way over to the middle. You can also probably find another route. This is just the route that I took. If you do mess up and fall down to the bottom where Nexus is at, there's no way to get back up unless your whole team kills theirself. Or if it's just you solo, just you kill yourself. Other than that, there's nothing to it. Okay, now for the reason why you're over here. The setup. This Nexus setup is used with the wall that a lot of people know about. You know, the wall that you can go behind in the Nexus battle arena? Well, it's used with that. That place is a distraction for Nexus and the enemies. By a wall, yeah, I know there's a lot of walls. What I mean by wall is that one area where no enemies can get to you at. It's kind of like a glitch, I guess you could say, in the Nexus arena. I mean, it isn't really a glitch because you can just get back there, but it's kind of a glitch for the enemies because they can't do nothing about it until you poke your little head out. And there's going to be 2 main shooters. Normally, if you guys have a hunter, have the hunter go down into the wall just because the hunter can turn invisible, which means he can be more safer unless you have the patience and time and you try to go down there and take care of this. So you guys get it. A distraction goes down there. Then we want to have 2 people up here where we're at right now. Yes, I know we have 3, but we figured out a strategy while being up here. You can actually shoot at Nexus. There's an invisible barrier in the center of this place that we are at right now. And that place is your safety zone. You want to go to the center of that barrier when you start taking fire from other areas. So how you go down and shoot is you jump down in this outer ring. Once at this outer ring, just look down through this little crack that it makes from the 2 circles. And you can actually shoot through these cracks. And Nexus shield is no longer a pain in the butt. You can just rain down fire on them. You don't have to wait for the shield to pass them up now. Make sure before you go here to stop up on some type of synthesis that you're using for the gun that you want to, rain down fire on Nexus. And not to mention easy to revive each other while being up here. Heck, you don't have to do the setup I told you to do. You can just try everybody up here, or you can just keep sticking with the wall place. I just thought this would be nice to share with you guys. This spot will come in handy, guys. It's actually a nice spot. And the guy over at the wall, he just creates a distraction. That's all the guy at the wall does, because it really helps out the squad. Especially when the 2 people that are up top are starting to take fire from every direction. That can happen if you're not too careful. And remember, once you start getting shot and you're starting to take a lot of damage, head to the center of the circle. That should be a safety zone. Make sure to crouch. That should be your safety zone. Hopefully this setup right here, guys, helps you a lot for the Nexus fight. Especially when they see how you got up here, you got to be some kind of ninja. Because once again, you have to kill yourself if you want to try to retry the ninja jump to get to the center. That's the only way you're getting back up top. So don't mess up. and be a ninja. Up next is the final strike, and this strike is on Mars. Ah, Mars. The first big fight that you'll be encountering when doing this strike is the tank. This bad boy has a blast that can send you flying. And I'm not going to say in the past because that would have just made that awkward. But I say it anyways. Blast to the past. This tank blast has. And this is what's scary. It can kill you in one single blast. That's all it takes. That's all it can take. So the question is, where can you set up at? Right behind this old dead tree. This dead tree can take a blast from this tank as many times as it wants. You can shoot at it through the crack of this old dead tree in front of us. Well, that's why I like to call it. Don't know what the hell it is. Looks dead and like a tree, so I call it a dead tree. And if you back up toward this rock, you have a nice aim on the tank. And you won't get touched by it. Sometimes if the tank is lucky, it will shoot through the crack and it can hurt you. Or it can shoot by the crack of this tree and it can hurt you. But for the most part, you're not going to get hurt. It's a great spot to be sitting at while hitting this tank. An important note to take while shooting this tank through this crack from this tree. You want to run out and get the tank's attention if you can't see it no more when aiming in between the tree. Because sometimes it will disappear and you're like, well, this isn't helping any. So that's what you gotta do. Other than this spot, you can go on top of this rock up here and crouch and kind of shoot down at the tank. But preferably, that tree area is the best area to fight the tank. Once again, that's just my opinion, guys. You guys don't have to listen to me. I'm just trying to give you helpful advice for going against what you see in the strike. Up next is lastly but not least, the big bad boy himself. The final boss that you fight during the Mars strike mission. Alright, first thing I want to show you is these vents that you can get up in. These vents are helpful, especially if you want to cause a distraction, because he'll just rain down fire on you and he cannot touch you if you're further back in these vents. Now if you're getting too close to the vents, trying to get outside, it seems like maybe the blast radius of the explosion can hit you. But if you're further back in the vents, the more safer you will be. Also, don't be poking your head out unless you have a chance to aim down fire. This place is very handy though, and it's safe. So it's a nice little spot to know about. Also, another good little tip to know when fighting this guy is if you crouch up on the second layer where, you could kind of just see his head, his upper body, but not his gun, he will not be able to shoot you. And you'll be able to shoot him directly in the forehead. So this is also a great spot to know about. Just be careful of your surroundings because enemies can come out of nowhere. And if they catch you off guard, bad things can happen. Bad things. Okay, so the other spot is by the stairwell. You can actually jump on these boxes right here and shoot them in between this ramp. But you gotta watch out for the enemies while being here. My best suggestion for you guys is, once the big bad boy first walks across the center, when he first enters, he kind of stays there and shoots for a little while until you do some damage or whatever, and then he starts walking across the middle. Once he gets to the other side, kind of hold out and do some damage on him as much as you can until he moves out again. Okay, now this final move right here, he's back where he used to be. This is where he'll chase after you now. This guy will chase after you. So, what you want to do is hide beside this ramp right here, because there's actually this little bunker area you can get to, I guess you can call it. So from this bunker area, you want to jump up and shoot him. Start trying to get his attention to come toward you. Because once he gets closer, you will notice that you can shoot him, but he cannot shoot you. And he keeps stomping on the ground. So he is glitched like that. He thinks he can hit you with his melee, and he can't. So this is a great strategy to knock him out easily. You just keep blasting on his head. Sometimes he might pull out of the glitch, but once again, just get his attention and kind of lure him back toward the ramp. Yeah, it's a little cheap trick, I know, but hey, use it to your advantage while you can. It saves you guys time. But speaking of time, this video has already been long enough, and I tried to make this as informative as possible just so you guys can get an understanding of each and every strike boss. But this is the end of Rifle right here. I'm ending it right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, well, leave a like. It helps out a lot, and it's highly appreciated from me. One single like helps out a lot, and I do mean that. One like makes a difference. Also, subscribe if you haven't for more Destiny content like this. But I'm out of here though, guys. Thanks everyone for watching, and most importantly, thank you all for your time. Peace. To start this off, I will go over the legendary raid gear that you can receive. These are labeled as Vex